In this video, I will show you exactly how to use Instantly AI step by step so that you can start landing cold emails in the inbox on autopilot. If you want to learn how to find leads, write personalized emails and send them all automatically without ending up in spam or getting your domain flagged, I'm going to walk you through all of it today. By the end of this video, you will know how to set up your email infrastructure the right way, how to warm up your inboxes so you actually land in the inbox, how to find leads and build a campaign that personalizes every message at scale, and how to let Instantly's new AI agents run the entire thing for you. With that being said, let's jump right in. If you want to follow along, you can claim a 14-day free trial through the first link in the description. The first step is to create your account. So go and click on Get Started. And here to create your account, you can use Google, Apple, or sign up with email. I will use Google, but before you choose one, you first need to accept the terms of use and privacy policy. Then click sign up with, in my case, Google. Select your email account and continue. You will then be loaded into your dashboard and you will see Instantly's AI. And Instantly has been going very hard on its AI called Copilot. A huge chunk of what used to be completely manual in this tool can now be done by the AI for you, such as finding and engaging leads, creating AI-powered sequences that automatically optimize themselves, and tracking and optimizing your opens, clicks, replies, and more in real time, all done by AI. But what is really important is that you do still know how everything works manually. So what we're going to do in this video is build everything ourselves first, the proper way. And then later in the video, I'll show you how the AI agents can supplement you with this. That way, when you do hand off some of the work to the AI, you will actually know what it's doing and whether it's doing it right. Now from here, you want to go and click on Get Started. Then here you have two options. You can enter your business URL or you can skip this. Now, I recommend just entering your business URL. The reason for this is that this will train the AI on your business's information. So it will look at what you offer, who you sell to, and basically anything on your website and train the AI on that. So enter your URL and click continue. Then Instantly will ask you what you want to use Instantly for. So for example, cold email outreach, lead generation, and AI agents. Now you can pick 3 or less. It doesn't really matter. You will get access to all of these features either way. So from there, go and click on Let's Go. Now you will be loaded into your dashboard and you can see this right here. It instantly sends a message to create an AI sales agent for me based on my business information. So here it says, I'll create your AI sales agent using your existing business details. Let me proceed with setting up the agent for software scope. So it has gotten your business name, everything you do, and anything else it needs from just your website. That's why I recommend uploading your website in the onboarding. So from here you can approve this. And now it's going to create an AI sales agent for you. Now, as I mentioned at the start of this video, I just want to show you how this works, but we are actually going to be setting up everything ourselves, from our email accounts to finding leads, enriching leads with AI, building campaigns, and anything else you need to know before we actually hand some of that stuff off to the AI. Now, as you can see, to create your AI sales agent, they need at least one active sending email account connected to your workspace. So we're going to do this first and we'll come back to this section later in this video. So from here in the left menu, go to this section that says email accounts. This is where we can set up our actual email accounts. Now here are your options. If you click add new, you can see you have pre-warmed accounts, done for you email setup, or you can connect an existing account that you may already own. Each of these has its advantages and its cons. Pre-warmed accounts are already warmed up, meaning you can skip the warm-up time, which is about 2 weeks, and you can start sending today. The downside of using a pre-warmed account is that they have a limited range of domains. So if you click continue, you can see some of the domains they have right here. The chances of any of these looking like your main business domain are very low, meaning you'll be sending from some random domain that doesn't look anything like your business, which to me, if I get an email like that claiming they're a certain business but sending from an entirely different domain, it would just look like a scam. So therefore, I'm not going to use a pre-warmed account, although there is a time and place for this if you need to start sending today. The next option, done for you email setup, is a pretty good option, and it's the one I'm going to go with. Now the reason I'm going to use this one is that you still get all of the convenience of instantly setting up your domains, your mailboxes, and handling all of the DNS records. And they come at a pretty good price. And price is actually the main pro of using your own existing accounts. It is a bit cheaper to use an external service that just focuses on mailboxes, buying your mailboxes there, and then connecting them here. Another pro of connecting your own existing accounts is that you get access to not only Google, but also Microsoft mailboxes, and you can connect any provider besides that. So if you want to do mailbox matching, meaning you send from Microsoft to Microsoft mailboxes, from Google mailboxes to Google mailboxes, and enterprise to enterprise, then this is the best option. But as a beginner, don't worry about that at all. I'm actually going to be using Google right here, since it's very convenient and the deliverability is still amazing. Now, one quick piece of advice: if you are going to connect an existing account, don't connect your main business domain, since we're going to be sending cold emails. If you're sending cold emails from your main business domain, it can get flagged, and any internal emails or customer support emails can just start landing in spam, which is not what you want. So instead, buy a similar looking domain like tryyourbusiness.com and use that one instead. Now that's also what I'm going to do, but I'm just going to do it by using Instantly's built-in service. So I'll click on Google right here, and then what you can do is here just enter your business name. So if I type in software scope and hit enter, it's going to show similar options. So softwarescope.com is already taken since I own that, but right here I could, for example, do trysoftwarescope.com, which for me is perfect. You can also select multiple right here, like clicksoftwarescope.com, instantsoftwarescope.org, and more, but for this video I'm only going to be needing one domain. You can see the annual domain price is $15, which is pretty standard. So from there, go and click on next. Then here you have a few settings that need to be set up. I'll walk through these one by one. So first you have a forwarding domain. This basically means if someone sees they get an email from this domain, trysoftwarescope.com, and they visit this online, they won't find an actual website since this is not our real business domain. So what you want to have happen is that this forwards to your real business website. To do that, we use a forwarding domain. So here you just enter the URL to your actual website, and then when someone visits this domain you are sending from, they will actually be directed to your real business website. Now here you can set your sender name. So basically what this will do is it will use that as a persona for your mailboxes and use those in your emails, because you need different names in front of your domain to get different mailboxes. Now I'll cover how many mailboxes you need in a second, but first here just set your name. So if you just enter your name right here, which it may have already pulled from your Google account, you can then choose your own mailbox name. For example, just your first name, and then connect it to all domains. So the reason it says all domains is if you're connecting multiple domains, so you're buying multiple different domains, which you do need to do if you are going to be sending at a high volume. I'll go over how many you need in a second. Or you can just connect it to one domain. Doesn't really matter. I'll do all domains and click add. But as you can see, it has already added 5 mailboxes for me right here. But since they didn't know my last name from my Google account, it says unknown. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete the ones it already created for me. Then click add. And then I'm just going to go through these one by one and just add different variations of my name. Now, quick tip here, do use your actual name or at least a real name. Don't do outreach at or info at, since that doesn't come across very professional or trustworthy. So after adding 5 mailboxes, which is the amount I recommend adding per domain, at least if you need this amount. So how do you know how much you need? Basically, when your mailboxes are warmed up, you want to keep it to roughly 20 to 30 emails per inbox per day to keep your deliverability good. So what you can do is decide your daily target for how many emails you want to send, divide it by 25, and that's your mailbox count. For instance, if you want to send 500 emails per day, you will need 20 mailboxes. And per domain, you can connect up to 5 mailboxes, which is what I recommend doing. So in that case, for 20 mailboxes, you will need 20 divided by 5 is 4 domains. So if you want to send 500 emails per day, connect 4 domains and connect 5 mailboxes per domain. And that's the reason it says all domains here. Then you don't have to do it for every single one manually. You can just do your first name on all your domains, and that will then be created as an email that you are going to be sending from. If you have different team members, you can also use different personas, so you can set their first name and last name for a certain email inbox, and then it will be connected to their persona. And you can filter by this later when you are looking at your analytics. Now, in terms of cost, one mailbox costs $5 per month and the domain costs $15 per year. Now you do need to pay that domain price upfront for the year, so that's going to be $15. and then per month it's going to be $25 for the domains, coming out to a total price of $40. So what I'm going to do is click place order right here. Now we haven't added our payment details yet, so I'll need to do this right now. I'm just going to add my details here and click pay, and if you are following along, which again I do recommend, then go and do the same thing right now. So from there, after entering all of your billing details, go and click pay, and you will then be redirected back to Instantly, and it's now going to be setting up your domain with the mailboxes. As you can see, your order has been placed successfully. Please note that it can take 24 to 72 hours for your emails to be created, since DNS propagation can take some time. So here click continue. Now don't worry, this doesn't mean that we need to wait for that full time frame. We can just set up some other things in the meantime, which is what we're going to do next. So despite these mailboxes still having the setup pending, we can already configure some settings for the mailboxes. So what we're going to do is just click on this little checkbox and then select all. And then what we're going to do is come over here to this edit icon, which allows us to bulk edit these settings for all of these mailboxes. And what we're going to do here is scroll down to the bottom, and here we can see our warm-up settings. We need to configure these a little bit. And by the way, the reason we need to warm up these mailboxes is if you go from 0 to 50 cents on day 1, you get flagged instantly, and then you just start landing in spam, and you will need to buy a new domain, and that gets expensive fast. By default, Instantly has already turned on the warm-up for all of our mailboxes. It's just the settings that we will need to configure a little bit. Your increase per day, you can see the suggested is 1, which is also what I recommend. You can do 2, but never go over 2. To be safe, just do 1. Then your daily warm-up limit. The suggested here is 10, but I think that's a bit conservative. I would personally set this to around 15 to 20, and to be safe, I'm going to set it to 15. And then finally, we have the reply rate. So the suggested rate is 30. I think that's a good rate, because anything above that starts looking pretty suspicious. Now then there are some hidden settings that I recommend taking a look at. So right here, go to show advanced settings, and you can see your warm-up settings advanced. The first one is weekdays only. Turn this on. Then the read emulation, which is a really cool feature in my opinion, so it actually spends time and scrolls through your warm-up email to emulate human-like reading. Make sure to enable that too. Now here you have an option to warm custom tracking domain, which we're going to go over later, what a custom tracking domain is. So you can decide later whether you need it. If you do, you can come back here and enable this, but this will be more clear later in this video. And then these 3 here at the bottom, just leave them to 0, which keeps them to Instantly's normal rate. Now coming back to the warm custom tracking domain, if you go back up here, you can see some more settings. So first you have your sender name. While we're here, just go and fill this in too. So your first name and your last name. Then here your signature. So you can type your signature, or you can also insert it as an image. So for the signature, I'll do my name, then my business name and my business website, just like this. So then this will get inserted at the bottom of any email I send. Then you have your tags right here. You can see what tags are. They are used to group your accounts. You can use tags to filter accounts in the account list or assign an entire tag to a campaign. So these tags are specifically for your mailboxes. So if you want to use, for example, a certain mailbox for a certain client, you can tag it with that client's name, or for example, for a campaign, whatever you want to use a certain mailbox for. But for this example, I'm not going to be using this. Just know that the option is there. Then you have your campaign settings. So this is also another important section. Starting with the daily campaign limit. So this is the maximum amount of emails you want to send from one mailbox per day. As I mentioned earlier, you shouldn't send more than 20 to 30 emails per inbox per day. So I'm going to be setting this to 20 to be on the safe side, since I have 5 mailboxes and for me 100 emails per day is more than enough. Then your minimum wait time is mainly necessary when you use multiple campaigns. Now you may just be looking to set up one campaign right now, but if in the future you also want to set up more campaigns, then to be safe just set this to 10 minutes. It doesn't hurt to just set this up either way. So add 10 minutes right there. Then the campaign slow ramp. This is recommended, and go and turn this on. Just follow the recommendation. Basically what this does, it gradually increases the number of campaign emails sent per day, similar to what we have with the warm-up, but now for our actual campaign emails. So this is just one more thing to keep our mailboxes safe. Now you also have a reply to address. Now, honestly, I would just leave this blank because if you add a reply to email address right here, then your emails won't be landing in the Unibox in Instantly, which is a super convenient place to have all of your emails in one place. So just leave this blank. And I'll go over the Unibox later in a lot more detail in this video. And then you have your daily inbox placement test limit. This is the maximum number of inbox placement tests per day. So Instantly can test whether you are landing in the inbox or spam folder with a test email. So what I would recommend doing is just leaving this to 0 for now, since this is tied to Lemlist inbox placement add-on, which we don't need yet, although I am going to go over this a bit later since it can be interesting when you scale up, but that's not important right now. So that brings us to the custom tracking domain, which is what I've referred to a few times already. So down here it said warm custom tracking domain. And again, you need to enable this if you want to use a custom tracking domain. So what is a custom tracking domain? Basically, if you want open rate data, then you need to enable this. Because if you add a link to your emails, then usually you won't know how many clicks came from what emails. If you connect your own custom domain right here, you can track clicks per email that you send. So you won't just see the total amount of clicks, you can see exactly what campaign, what message those clicks came from. This is mainly important if you're doing cold email outreach to lead people to a certain web page. If your goal is to just talk to people, start a conversation, or even book in a meeting, then this is not super important. But if you are doing, for example, software marketing and you don't want to hop on a call with them, you just want them to go straight to your website, then this is a really good feature to turn on. If you want to turn this on, you just check this box. Then you just add these DNS records into your DNS zone. So instead of just talking about it, let me show you how this works. So you can see the record type is a CNAME. The host here is INST and the value is this. So just copy the value for now and go to your domain provider. So for example, I have this domain with GoDaddy, then head over to the DNS zone and click add new record. Then for the type, set it to CNAME. Then here type in INST and in the value paste in what we just copied and click save. Then it will be updating your DNS records and you've now added that CNAME. So now if we go back here, we can now type in our domain. So it's basically inst.yourdomain and then you can click check status. And then you can see CNAME verified. But now we do need to add a txt record right here. So you just add this right here into your domain as well. So I'll just do this too. The record type here is txtel. The name is _reversal. So again, go add new record, type txt, paste in that, then copy the value here, paste that right there, and then click save. And then it will be updating the DNS records again. Now we can go back, click on check status, and now we've also added that one. So now we can see the CNAME is verified and the SSL is verified. We've now connected our tracking domain. Now, as you can see right now, it's INST. You may want to have some other kind of domain connected. You can just change this right here. So for example, you can do mail.danistutorials.live. But if you want to change this part, then for the host, instead of INST, you need to add what you added right here as your subdomain. So in my case here, I would add mail instead of INST in the CNAME. So if I go back here, and I find the CNAME I added just now, which is this one right here, the INST. I can click edit and instead add mail here and click save. Now if I head back over to Instantly and click check status, now the domain I've connected is mail.danistutorials.live. But I do now also need to change the txt record since now it's mail.danistutorials.live. So I'll just go and copy this and also change my txt record inside of my GoDaddy account. So click edit on this one and paste it in here, click save. Now go back here and click check status. Sometimes it takes a few minutes for it to connect and usually you will need to actually check the status twice. And now you can see we have now added this as our domain. So now if we go back down here to our warm-up settings, if you did connect a domain just like I did for actually tracking clicks, then here you want to go and turn on enable right here. So enable the warm custom tracking domain. That means that it will also warm up the actual domain that we're using to track our clicks. But again, only do this if tracking clicks to a certain website is really important for your campaigns and it's the main goal for you. If not, then don't bother setting this up. Then it doesn't really add anything for you. So we've now done all of our settings. This was the boring part, but we have now done this. So go and hit save, and it's now checking the domain one more time, and it's now all set up. Now one more thing to watch out for here is the health score. Over time, it's going to start sending emails, not just warm-up emails, but in some time we're also going to start running our campaign. So then our health score is going to be an indicator of how healthy our inbox is. If there is a big drop in health score, then just stop sending some campaign emails from this mailbox and start sending some warm-up emails to recover the health score. Alright, so it's going to take some more time for our mailboxes to fully connect and be set up. But we can now move on to actually finding some leads that we're going to reach out to once our domains are warmed up and connected. To do that, click on this section right here saying Super Search. This is Instantly's built-in database with over 450 million contacts. Now, the first way to use this is to describe who your ICP is by chatting with AI. So what we can do right here is just type who you're looking to target. For example, marketing people and content marketing people at software companies in the US with 25 to 250 employees. You can get very specific with this because it's going to basically automatically apply all of the filters right here. So what you can also do is set a technology. For example, that use Shopify for their website. Since then here in technologies, it's going to search for Shopify. And as you can see, you can not only see specific apps on Shopify, you can see Shopify themes as well, but you can also, of course, just see whether a business actually uses Shopify. But you can also search for Google Ads, so whether they are using Google AdSense, whether they're using Google Ads for Wix. You can filter by a bunch of technologies, so you can get pretty specific right here. So from there, you can just click AI search, and the AI is now going to apply all of the filters that are needed to find the people that you want to target. And it's going to show you a list of people. You can see this is pretty crazy. It has found a list of 3,591 results right here that are people working at software companies in the United States with 25 to 250 employees that work in the marketing department. And that's just this amount, but I can unlock 4,012 more results for this search with an Instantly credits plan. I'm going to go over this in a second. For now, we don't need this yet. So what we can do here is just click on Find Emails, and it's going to use credits. In the top right here, you can see if you sign up, you get 1,000 credits for free without paying anything. And you can see how much you can do with those credits here. So first and foremost, you have the work email, which is the main thing we need for cold email outreach. This will cost 1.5 credits per row, so per email found. How it does this, it runs every lead through Instantly, Find Email, Lead Magic, and more tools right here. You don't have to connect these manually, although you can by clicking Customize, and then here you can connect your own accounts if you want, but you don't need to do this. You can also just use Instantly's accounts, and this is going to cost 1 credit if Instantly finds it, which most often it actually does, but if Instantly doesn't have an email for the person, it will move it on to Find Email, which will be 2 credits per row. If they don't have one, it goes to the next one. And all the way down here, it is going to be 4 credits, but usually one of these right here already finds an email address. So you don't really need to switch this up. This usually works fine. Then right here under that, you also have a fully enriched profile, which is half a credit per row. What this means, it enriches it with a job title, the company info, location, and more, which is ideal for AI personalization. So I'm going to keep this one on too, since for me it's helpful to see if someone matches the job title I need to see company info, location, etc. Then you also have AI enrichment, where you can generate custom columns with AI, such as write emails, research companies, summarize profiles, and more. But I don't recommend turning that on here, since there's a way to be more granular about this, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. For now, just click continue right here, and you can choose how many leads you want to enrich. For example, I will go with 100 leads, which will cost me 200 credits. I have 1,000, so that's fine for me. So right here, I'll click enrich 100 leads. It will then take me to a lead list, which I've now created. You can see the name here is United States, software and internet, marketing 25 to 250. So a very descriptive name, and we can now see all of these people right here. We can see their job title, we can see their company, their location, their LinkedIn profile, and importantly, we have all of these work emails here. And as you can see, it was Instantly that found most of them, meaning this just cost 1 credit per email. Then it even validates those work emails for us so that we can actually send to validated and verified emails. Now you can see this database working live. It's kind of similar to Clay if you've ever used it. So if it doesn't find an email with Instantly, it moves on to the next tool. If they find one, it validates it. If they don't find one, it moves to the next one. And this just keeps going basically until it finds the email. Or if there is no email found, then you can just filter those out. Then here in the database, since we did the full enrichment for every lead, we can see their full profile here. We can see a contact headline, for example, marketing specialist, UMRF Ventures. You can see the contact summary. I'm a graduate of this university, etc. They can see their job level, so entry, manager, or mid-senior level, director. So you can see their level. Then the department here is marketing on all of them, since I filtered by that, or the AI did actually. Then their company and industry is software and internet, because again, I filtered by that. And then the company's sub-industry. For example, you have computer software and information technology. And you have internet, which seem to be the main ones here. Then you have a description of the company. You have the company domain, company website, company size, the amount of connections this person has on LinkedIn. And what's pretty cool is you can click add column right here, and they can use AI to create more columns. So if you need more info on a certain lead or on all of your leads, what you can do is use AI for this. So what do you want to do? Choose an action. For example, you can write an email to them automatically. You can write an opening line, a subject line, a company compliment. So here, for example, let's do write a company compliment, and then you can choose the AI model right here. If I click change, you can see you can use Instantly AI's OpenAI account. You can use their Anthropic account, Google, etc. For example, if I set this to Anthropic, I can then pick the model I want to use. Let's do Claude 4.5 Sonnet. And you can get pretty advanced with this. You can also edit the instructions right here for what it does. So this is the standard instructions, but you can also write different instructions. Now let's just click generate for all of these 100 leads, and I'll show you what it comes up with. So now for every lead, it should write a company compliment, which we are going to be using in our emails. So let's take a look at one of these. Here's a specific compliment. Let's open this one. Your model of bridging University of Memphis research capabilities with private sector needs to build Memphis's tech talent pipeline is exactly the kind of institutional innovation that transforms regional economies. Pretty specific stuff. I'm not sure if this would actually help, but it is a cool feature. Your approach of positioning IT as a strategic business driver, rather than just support a function, clearly resonates. Building client relationships that span decades in an industry known for vendor hopping is a rare achievement that speaks to the tangible value you deliver. So it's safe to say it did do its task. I'm not sure if this would be the best use case of the AI, since there are a lot more things you can do with it. If you go to templates here, you can find some of them, like just cleaning up the company name. For example, sometimes it will have Inc. or Limited. This will remove that in case you want to use the variable of company in your email, which I do want to do, so I'm going to be using this one. Now here, what you want to do in column mapping is click edit, and then under select a column, since we are cleaning up the company name, select company right here. Then just click generate, and I'll just enrich the 100 leads that I have here. And right here, we can now see all of these cleaned up company names. So here's an example of what this did. We have this company name right here, but it has these 2 vertical lines, which if we just put this in an email, it's not going to look like something a human would write. It looks like you just imported a variable. Of course, that is what we did. But if you go to the cleaned up version over on the right here, we can see it has fixed that and it has cleaned up the name for us. So just go ahead and enrich this database with anything you need. So we've been using AI so far. You can also write emails with AI, although we're going to do this in the campaign section and later with the AI agents. I don't recommend doing that here. Then you have add enrichment, and you can add a new text column. The normal enrichment is the normal stuff. So you can enrich person's info, company info like funding type, news. Then you have verification where it validates the email. You can clean up data, and you have an engagement score. And under integrations, you can integrate with, for example, Apify, which is a web scraper, to scrape pretty much anything. So say you have a recruitment agency, you could use this to scrape Indeed or other job listing sites to see if a company has any job listings. But I'm happy with my list right here, and this is the list I'm going to start my campaign with. Now, by the way, one more thing I want to mention, if you go back to Super Search here at the top, one pretty cool feature that you can filter by is down here in the left, you can do signals, and you can filter by a signal such as social activity, like posted recently on LinkedIn, commented on LinkedIn, posted on YouTube. But you can also do buying intent, for example, buying intent on Reddit, and they can search or add a topic like Google Ads, let's say Google Ads optimization, and then it's going to find people that have shown interest in Google Ads optimization. It's going to match those people with a company. So this is again a really cool feature. The time window here is 90 days. So anyone that showed interest in this in the last 90 days, you can then click add signal, and now this signal has been added. Now I now have a ton of filters that are very specific, so it's not going to find anything right now. But if I remove most of those filters, we can now see a person right here at a company, a software company. So this is a landing page builder that has shown interest in this. And they are the director, revenue strategy and technology. So this is a very warm lead if I sell Google Ads optimization. So this is a super cool feature to try out. There are more signal types you can use, like growth signals and company activity. So I just wanted to mention that before we move on. Okay, now let's actually start building our campaign. To do that, you go to this section right here that says campaigns, and here you can click add new. Then you can give your campaign a name, for example, software US 25 to 250. Again, I would make it descriptive so you can recognize it later. Then continue. Now step 1 is to add some leads to your campaign. If we click add leads, for some reason they don't have an option to import a list we have already created, because we have just created a list. But here you can also use some different options like uploading a CSV. If you want to use, for example, Apollo for finding leads, you can do that, download them as a CSV list and upload them in here. You can just use Super Search from here, enter emails manually, or use Google Sheets. But instead what we're going to do is go back to our Super Search, then click on our lead list, and then we have our lead list here. Then here in your list, you can just select all of these people right here, and then go to move to campaign, and then we're just going to move them to the campaign we've just created. And then click confirm, and now they are copying these 100 leads into our campaign. Now here just click on go to campaign, which should take us directly to our campaign. If you then click leads, you can now see the 100 leads in here. So you can also see the email provider they are using, the email security gateway in case they have one, the status, contact, and the other details we added earlier. Such as, for example, here, the company complement, which we can now use when building our campaign. Okay, so now that we have our leads right here, we need to build our sequence, which is the next step right here. Now, instantly is email first. So we are building our email steps and our follow-ups here. And the standard I'd recommend is a 3-step sequence. So a hook followed by a couple of follow-ups, with gaps of a few days in between each one. I recommend first just creating the outline, so click add step twice, and then send the next message, let's say in 3 days, and then another 3 days. So that means that message 1 goes out instantly, then 3 days later we send another one, and 3 days later we send another one. So now that we have built our outline, we can start writing our copy. So you have a subject and we have our email. Now for the subject, I only recommend writing a subject for the first one, since on step 2 and 3, just leave it to previous email subject and it will be sent as a reply to the first one, which really stands out in a inbox. What we can use here is AI. If we go to AI tools, we can click AI sequence writer. So then here enter the name of your company, click continue, then describe what you offer. So software scope offers video trainings in the form of tutorials, comparisons, and review videos of software companies that rank on YouTube, hopefully, and on Google. It helps software companies reach their target customer and lowers churn because the user is trained on the tool. It also lowers support tickets for the same reason. Click continue from there. And then from there, provide 2 to 3 sentences of information on your target audience. I'm going to say B2B software companies, mainly the marketing department within those companies. Then click continue. And then what are your case studies? Mention 1 to 2 case studies. So I'll just write these out right now. So for example, I'll just add 1 right here and click continue. Then how many steps in the sequence? As we have set up, 3 steps. Then click generate. Now here we have step 1. Subject is your thoughts, then the email is written, and it actually writes the email copy through. So right here, go and click on use in sequence if you're happy with this. If you're not happy with it, you can click regenerate, but I'll click use in sequence. Then one thing I'm going to change is I'm going to leave the subject blank, since I want to use the previous step's subject and just reply to the previous email. So now here on step 1, we have your thoughts, hi first name, which is going to be filled in automatically, hi M in this case. And then I noticed that company name, I'm actually going to change this to the cleaned up company name, since the reason we cleaned it up is that sometimes it doesn't work well if it's, for example, Inc. or limited, and that doesn't look very clean. So we go variables here, then we scroll down and we found some of our own variables. So we have company name cleanup right here. Then we have the cleaned up company name. Now, in some cases, this is going to make a difference, like the example I shared where there were the 2 vertical lines. This is going to make a difference. So I noticed that cleaned company name is focused on enhancing user engagement. At Software Scope, we recently helped a client create tutorial videos that increased their user retention by 30%. This not only reduced support tickets, but also improved customer satisfaction. Would you be open to a quick chat to see how we can achieve similar results for company name? Again, I'm going to switch this with the cleaned version. Best sending account first name. So you can also just replace this with your name, but if you have multiple people in your company using Instantly, then it's going to be their actual first name for the person that's sending the email. Then step 2 right here, you can read it if you want. And step 3. Now, if I don't like it, then of course I have the option to just write this myself, but I think they are pretty decent. You can also use the templates right here. So Instantly has a ton of templates that are already built. For example, we have video production, which is pretty good for me. Our CTO would like to talk with you. So if I want to use this one, I can click copy and then go add variant. And then, for example, I'll add a variant where I use this email. I always recommend adding variants to your emails, even if it's just for the subject line to see which one gets more opens, but always be having an A/B test. And importantly, change one thing at a time. So here I'm doing a different email copy, which means that the subject needs to be the same. If I'm testing a different subject line, then the email needs to be the same. Otherwise, you don't know what's actually causing the change. Now, earlier, we also set up our signature. So what I can do is just move down here and go to variables. And then here select signature, and it will then input my account signature, which we can see here. Now, we also found a variable for a company complement. So the way you could use that is just go here to company complement, copy that, and paste that in here. Now, if we go preview, you can see sometimes it gives different options, which is not what we want. So if you actually want to use the company complement, what you will need to do is add a cleaned up version inside of your lead list. So real quick, I'll show you how that works. If you're just going to click save on all of these emails here, and then head back over to our lead list, then scroll over to the right because we need a new column, and then click new text column and just do cleaned up complement and add this. Then you have 2 options. You can first of all just copy the complement from here. So just copy the cleaned up complement, put that in here, and then you have an actual good complement. But why would you do this yourself if you can use AI? So what we're going to do is click Enrich and AI, then click Write Your Own, and then choose an action. Scroll to the bottom, select custom prompt, and then I'm going to say clean up company complement with multiple options. Pick one of them and make it ready as a variable that can be put into an email as is without any changes. Then put in the variable for the actual company complement right here. So company complement, then it's going to paste in the company complement that was found. Then here click generate. Enrich 100 leads. And now here we have the complements. So here are a few options is what it usually says. Then option 1, X, option 2. If we go right here to the new column, we can see what it did. And actually it went wrong. It still says here's a polished version. So it just needs to be this section right here. So what we need to do is change the prompt. Edit column. Then after the company complement, say return nothing else except for the complement so that it is ready to be put into an email. So don't say, here is your complement or anything like that, just the complement. You need to be very clear about this because AI can be pretty dumb sometimes, and we're using GPT 5.4, which makes it worse. So actually I'm just going to change this to Anthropic 4.5 Sonnet, which I think is better. And then after writing the prompt and choosing your model, right here in the column, just set it to the one we just created, the cleaned up company complement, and click generate. Then I'll just do all of the 100 and it's now queued. And we can now see instead of a few different options, we have just the complement right here for all of these. So if there are different options, it just picked one of them. So now we can actually use this as a variable in our campaign. If you go back to the campaigns here, open up our campaign, click sequences, we can now go here as a variable. Now I'm not actually going to use this, but you can use it if you want. You can now use the company complement cleaned up. Although actually we imported the list and now it is not yet updated. So we would need to first update this list by bringing them back in, which if you want to do that, so go over to this and click select all, then click on delete all leads in this campaign, delete, then go back to your super search lead list, select them all again here. So select all results, move to campaign, and move them back into the campaign because now we have updated one of the columns, so then that column will also be imported into the campaign. So make sure you finish your list before you actually start sending. I just wanted to show you how you can actually customize data in this with your own AI prompts because it is a cool feature. So now go to campaign again, then in the leads here, we can now see all the way over on the right, we have our cleaned up company complement. So now we can go to sequences and here we can now use cleaned up company complement, and if we now preview this, it's just the complement. So that is pretty cool. You can see it for different leads here and check how it looks. Now there's one more thing we need to do to finish up our sequence, and that is to add spintax. Spintax basically adds randomization to certain parts of your email to avoid getting flagged. To do this, what you do is go to AI tools and click AI spintax writer. It's now generating spintax for this email. And we can see it says random, and then it creates different variations of the same thing. So if we go to preview now, you can see it just picks one of them, like greetings right here. Then if we go to a different lead, it says hello. Again, another one, it says hello. This one says hey. So it just creates slight differences in your emails while keeping them pretty much the same meaning, just creating slight differences. Now make sure to check every single version it creates and that it actually matches what you are trying to say to your prospect. For example, sometimes it slightly changes the message to something you don't actually want to say. So make sure to read this, don't just trust it blindly. If you want to change one, you just change what it says between these vertical lines, which is one of the random versions. For example, if I don't want to have regards, what I can do is just remove all of this, and then it only has best, sincerely, kind regards. So do this for every version and every step of your emails. Alright, so that's our sequence done. Just make sure to hit save. And then let's move on to schedule right here. So what you can do is create a schedule, and that is not a schedule for when the leads start receiving emails. It's basically a schedule between what days and what times you actually want to send the emails. Because you probably don't want to send an email to someone on a Sunday at 3 a.m. So to avoid that from happening, you create a schedule. Just give it a name like working days plus hours, and then I'll set it 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. is fine. And for the time zone, crucially set it to your prospect's time zone. For example, I'm from Europe, but all of my leads are in the US in this campaign. So I want to set this to the US. Otherwise, it's going to set 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Europe time. Well, for my leads, that may be in the middle of the night. So make sure to set this to the time zone where your leads are located generally. And then the days, for me, Monday through Friday is fine. So I'm going to click save and then select it right there. And then finally, we have options, which is pretty important. Right here, first we have accounts to use, which is what email accounts do we want to use. You can select as many as you like. I'm just going to select all of them right here since I just have one campaign. Then it's going to rotate between those accounts automatically. Then the second option is to stop sending emails on reply. I think that this should always be kept on because whether it's a positive or negative reply, you don't want to automatically keep sending them emails even though you're already in a conversation with them. So keep that enabled. Then we have open tracking. Now, if you do open tracking, it can kind of hurt your deliverability, and open tracking isn't the most important thing either way. What is actually important is your replies. But with open tracking, the main upside is that you can track how many people click on a certain subject line, which can be valuable to know. So if you're just testing out what subject line you want to use before you really start scaling up, then this can be helpful at the beginning. But if you're planning on just scaling up from the beginning, I don't recommend turning on open tracking. What I am going to turn on is link tracking. Now, I didn't actually add any links to my emails, but if you do want to do that, then here with link tracking, you can track your link opens. Then you have delivery optimization, and this again is important. Turn on send emails as text only, no HTML. That is very good for your deliverability. And then finally you have the maximum number of emails to send per day for this campaign. Now we've already set a maximum number of emails per mailbox, which I set to 20. So this is just more of a cap on the overall campaign, which for me isn't that important since I think the cap per email is way more important. Now if you click show advanced options, you can see some more things like managing your CRM, who is the owner of this campaign. If you have multiple team members, you can select someone else too. Then here, coming back to this, you have custom tags, which are used to group your campaigns. Then here you have a sending pattern, so a time gap between emails and a random additional time. Then the max number of new leads. For this, you can just leave all of this open. This isn't too important. Although one thing, you have auto optimize AZ testing. Just set this to reply rate since that's the most important metric to optimize for. Then here you have provider matching, which I've mentioned a few times now. For example, when you are sending to a Outlook inbox, send from an Outlook inbox, Google to Google, etc. So you can go and enable that right here, but it only really works if you have Google and Outlook mailboxes and enterprise mailboxes. Otherwise, you cannot match it. You can also add custom rules, for example, from my Google mailbox, send to the recipient Google mailbox. But this is for custom rules. If you just want to do Google to Google, Outlook to Outlook, then just tick this box right there. Then here you can stop the campaign for the company on replies, so not just for the lead, but for the entire company. And you have a few more things right here that are pretty straightforward. So stop sending emails on auto reply. I recommend keeping that off because it's just with automatic replies like out of office replies. Then here I do recommend turning on the unsubscribe link because if someone feels the need to unsubscribe, they weren't going to buy from you either way. And that is going to save your mailboxes for better prospects. And just keep these off right here. And from there at the bottom, go and click save. We're not going to click launch yet since our emails haven't warmed up and they may not even be connected yet, which we're going to check in a second. Now, one more thing, before we leave the campaign section, you have analytics here. So these are analytics on a campaign level. You also have your analytics here. So we're going to go over this section later in this video, but it's helpful to know that you can also see analytics on a campaign level right here. So what we're going to do now is go to our email accounts here. And we can actually see our mailboxes have been connected. So it says Gen 2 right here, which is the latest generation done for you account infrastructure, around 90 minutes setup time. And as you can see, we have already started sending warm-up emails. So we've sent one from every single one of these. It's going to scale up with one per day. So it's going to stay here for today. Tomorrow it's going to send 2 more. So this is going to move to 3 and so on. Now, if you want to see more details, hover over a mailbox and click on this eyeball icon and you can see the amount of warm-up emails sent per day. And you can always change these settings if you want. And in campaigns, you can see the campaigns this is currently in. Now you'll want to wait for about 2 weeks until you actually start sending emails with these campaigns. So therefore, if you do want to send earlier than that, you can use a pre-warmed account. Actually, they've just added about 500 more mailboxes here. So you can use one of these. But again, they're not going to look like your own domain. If you search for software scope, you can see there are no similar domains found. Now for this tutorial, I actually want to show you how it looks when you launch a campaign, seeing some analytics and stuff like that, how the CRM works. So I'm just going to let these warm up for about 3 days, which is less than you would usually do, but it is just enough to get some warm up running. And I'll check back in 3 days and then I'll launch the campaign and show you the other features in Instantly that you need to know about. Alright, so it's a few days later now. As you can see, we have about 10 emails sent for these 3 email addresses with a 100% health score. Now, in the meantime, as you can see here, when I go back to campaigns, I created a copy of our sequence right here. because I want to show you how the link tracking actually works. If I go into these sequences here, as you saw in the first part of this video, I turned on click tracking. But if you actually want to track clicks, you also need to turn on open tracking, otherwise it doesn't work. Now, in order to have open tracking on, you need to turn off send emails as text only. As you can see, if I turn this on, this turns off. Now that is going to hurt your deliverability a little bit, but if you really want to see open tracking and link tracking, then you need to turn off send emails as text only, enable open tracking, and turn on link tracking too. So here in the lead section of this copied sequence, I have added myself 3 times and I've sent myself 3 different emails. The first one was with the open tracking off and sending just in plain text. Now here it just says contacted, even though I already opened this email on this inbox. Then for the second email that I sent to myself, I turned on open tracking, and you can see then it says email opened. Then the third one, I turned on open tracking and link click tracking, and I haven't opened that one yet, so I'll do that right now so that we can see this change live. So I've got the email right here, and as you can see currently it still says contacted. Now I'll go and click on this email. So now I've opened it. And if I now go back here and I just refresh this page, you can see it instantly goes to email opened. And I'll show you how you can actually track links in a second. But if I now click on this link, it's just going to take me to calendly.com. But now it should also change right here in the status to link clicked. As you can see, it is working. So if you want to use this in your sequence, what you need to do is first just take the link that you want to put in your email. Then go here to insert link, then here enter the web address, so in this case calendly.com, and then you can choose to either display it as the link itself or, for example, book a meeting. You can add anything you want and then insert link, and then when they click on it, it will take them to Calendly. So this only works with the tracking once you have connected your own custom tracking domain, which I have already done. And if you do then also have the link tracking and open tracking enabled. But for now, I'm going to turn it back to send emails as text only, since for me deliverability is more important than open and link tracking. So this sequence was just to showcase how this works. So I'm just going to delete this one again. So delete the campaign and go back to our main campaign right here, because the emails needed to warm up. Now that they have warmed up a little bit, and again, you want to let this run for a bit longer than I did. I only let it run for 3 days, since I want to show you how it works. But after you've done that, you go to options here. Then we've already set up all of these options, but just scroll all the way to the bottom of the page, and here click on the launch button. Then click publish, and now it's going to start sending to the leads in this campaign. So we can click on it now, and in the analytics you can go to activity to see any activity that's currently happening. So all of these leads right here are now moving through our sequence, and these statuses are going to be updated shortly to email sent. Now again, I'm not doing open or click tracking, but otherwise you would also be able to see all of that right here. So after you launch your campaign, you will eventually hopefully start getting some replies. Now the replies all land right here in your Unibox, so a unified inbox. If you click on that, you can see we already have this one right here from Instantly themselves. And essentially why this inbox is helpful is because it compiles all of the emails from every single inbox that you bought into one place. Now Instantly's AI will auto-score every reply with sentiment analysis, so it will tag things like interested, meeting booked, and meeting completed. It filters the out-of-office replies and it surfaces the real human replies for you. And if you get an email that shows as interested and you click on it, what you can also do is automatically move them on to a subsequence to another campaign, and you can just reply to the email right here by clicking on reply. Although for this you will need to have the hyper growth plan, so that's a pretty essential plan, otherwise you cannot continue a conversation once you have someone interested. In my opinion, you can't really use Instantly on the growth plan, you will need a hyper growth plan. So the manual way that you would use this is that you just go in here, you reply to all of the interested emails, try and book a meeting, at least if that is part of your sales process, and eventually sell them. But what you can now also do, which I hinted at the beginning of this video, is set up AI agents that do this for you. So if you head over right here to the second section that says AI agents, you can click add new, and they currently have 2 types of agents. They have an AI sales agent and an AI reply agent. Now what they both do is first the sales agent finds your leads, which we did at the beginning using the database, and it also uses the database for this. Then it crafts personalized cold emails It builds multi-step outreach sequences, it self-optimizes from reply patterns, and it fills your pipeline on autopilot. Pretty cool, and it costs 5 credits per lead. Doing it yourself costs less because you only need to pay credits to actually find the lead, and you can just run them through your own sequence. But having an AI sales agent that literally does everything for you and fills your entire pipeline on autopilot is still pretty cool. And then the reply agent is pretty straightforward. It automatically replies and follows up with all emails, but it does more than that. It also updates the lead status and CRM for you. I'll cover the CRM in a second. Then it handles objections and questions, and it responds in less than 5 minutes 24/7. Now, for example, if you click select AI reply agent, you can give it a name. Now, this is just for you to recognize it. It doesn't really matter what it's called. Then continue. And then you can either choose human in the loop, which means that you stay in the loop, or you can do fully autonomous, where it's fully on autopilot, which again is available on Hyper, Grove, and above. Now, if you use human in the loop, it will write the messages for you, but you still need to review and send them. So that means you are not going to be responding 24/7 since it's still limited to when you are online. Now, I would start with human in the loop, even if you are on the Hypergrowth plan, to kind of see if the AI actually works for you and if it actually writes the messages that you would write yourself. And then the fully autonomous autopilot obviously sends emails 24/7 without your manual review or input. And this is also the one that automatically updates the lead stages and CRM status for you. Now I'm going to select the human in the loop mode. Then configure it, so choose what it should handle, what the scope of this AI agent is. For example, should it handle follow-ups? Should it respond to automatic and out-of-office emails? And should it handle objections, declines, or negative replies? And then they have this new feature that automatically follows up with leads who miss scheduled meetings. So when enabled, the agent will automatically follow up with leads that are assigned the no-show label by you, helping you recover missed meetings. I recommend turning that one on too, and you can choose how many follow-ups to send. Then just click on continue, and then choose what it should work on. I'll just skip it to all campaigns and accounts, and then click continue again. And then you can train the AI. So first, the agent's tone of voice. I'll set it to neutral. The agent's response length, I'll do standard. Then you can set a communication style. So a guidance, if you click new guidance, right here you can guide the communication style. So you can really train this in a pretty advanced way. You have the guidance here first, which is just the communication style. They have context and clarification. So what follow-up questions the AI agent should ask. For example, what is your budget? Really anything that you need to know before you hop on a call with someone. Then the handover and escalation, so when should the AI agent route the lead to your team? And then any other guidance you want the AI agent to follow, you can write right there. Now when you write something, you can just click on optimize right here, and it will then see what you want it to do and optimize it to make it more specific for the AI to actually understand it. So then just click continue. You can then integrate it with Calendly and Slack, whichever one you want, or both of them. Now, for example, I would do Calendly so it can actually autonomously book meetings with you. And then you can just click Add Agent. And once you do that, you have created the agent that's actually going to reply to the messages, or at least craft replies for you. So you will then see it show up right here in your AI agents. So this again is a human in the loop agent, and the status should be active. So that's the first kind of agent. And then the other one is the sales agent, which will automatically fill your pipeline. At least that's the promise. So what you can do is just put in your website URL. It will then learn what you offer, your ICP, etc. Then you need to accept the AI sales agent terms and click create AI sales agent. It's now going to learn from your website what exactly you do. And from there, that's it. You have now got this agent. What it's now going to do is learn. So it's understanding your business, and it's approved to start web scraping. Then now it's preparing the initial campaigns, finding the initial prospects, and you can see it working live and doing literally everything that we have done so far in this video. Now again, it is important to just do this yourself first, since I think it is still best to do it yourself. It's not that much work. Once you have built up your sequence, you just need to import more people, but it's pretty cool that AI can also do it for you now. Now you can customize the agent by going to settings, and then you can choose autopilot mode or not, finding leads automatically or not. You can choose which accounts it can use, the schedule and limits, basic deliverability here, and you can integrate with Slack to send yourself daily reports. Then in leads, you can find the leads it's found. So it's already found 5 people right here that match my ICP. And in memory, you can see what it uses. So your offers, the business details, your customer profiles, and any guidance. So you can add up to 10 smart rules to store additional instructions for the AI sales agent. And you can see in the live feed right here, it has already written emails for people right here. So it says waiting for approval to schedule this person for sending. So you just have to click on it. And then you can see the first email here. You can also see the follow-ups, follow-up 2, follow-up 3. And you can just click approve. And now this is going to be sent to that person. Then the next lead, approve, approve again. And if you do click reject, you can explain why and it can learn from that. Now I've just approved all of them. So it's now going to send emails to all of these people. And it has now found even more leads. We can see we have 10 leads now. So I do recommend setting a cap on this because it can go pretty quickly, as you can see. So the daily sending limit here is 10. I'm just going to keep it at 10 for now. You can always increase it later to even 10,000 per day. Now again, this does cost 5 credits per lead, but what it is doing now, it's finding the prospect, it is writing the sequence specifically for that prospect, and all you have to do is click approve, and everything from there happens automatically. And if you then also set up the reply agent, even the follow-ups and replies happen on autopilot, which is just pretty insane. So that's the AI agents. Then on top of that, you have the Instantly Copilot. In the Copilot, you can ask it to do specific tasks. So this is not an autonomous agent like the AI agents that run 24/7, but here what you can do is, for example, generate a full campaign. Then you just click send, and now it's going to generate a full campaign. So it says, I'll follow these steps, generate a tailored email sequence, define lead filters. So I'll say, okay. Then it will ask for some details. I'll say, use my software scope business context. And now it's generating an email sequence for me. So here it is now, a 4-step sequence over 6 days. We can go and see it right here. It has 3 variants. So first, hi, first name. And for example, if I don't like a certain part of the first email, I can just ask it to change that. But if you like it, you can then just import it into your campaign, or you can ask it to do that for you. So I'll say create a campaign with this sequence. Then it will need some details such as the start date and end date, the preferred sending schedule, the daily sending limit, whether to send text-only emails or enable tracking, and any other specific campaign settings. So I've now answered these questions and sent it to it. So let's see what it does now. It will then ask if it can create a campaign. So I'll click on approve. And now if I go to view campaign, we can see the campaign right here. Then in the sequence, it now has the exact sequence. So the 3 different variations on the first email that it created. Then on step 2, and it should have all 4 steps, which it does. Then I also asked the AI to send all the emails as plain text. So if you go to options here, you can see it has indeed turned that on. Then I also mentioned that I wanted the daily limit to be 5, and it did that too. So again, this is a pretty cool feature. You can just do it yourself, but this can save a lot of time for the repetitive work. And here are just a few ideas of what you can do, but you can really have it do anything inside of Instantly. For example, also find ideal prospects, suggest me a lead list based on my business. Then here it has found the leads. It has 145,000 leads right here. Then I'll say enrich 20 of them and import into the AI test campaign, which is what I called it. So first it finds the campaign I want to add them to. Then I need to approve the super search enrichment. So it will enrich the emails for the first 20 people. Then it will ask what exactly to enrich. I'll just say work email addresses. Then again, approve the enrichment. And it has now added them to the campaign. So let's check it out. If you now go to campaigns and open up the AI test campaign and go to leads, we can indeed now see all 20 right here. It has found these leads on its own, enriched them and added them to this campaign all on autopilot. So for doing something like this, it does save a ton of time. You can also create your own saved searches. So you can just tell the AI to use X saved search and add this many leads to the campaign and schedule them for this time. And then all of that happens automatically. So to create a saved search, just add at least one filter like agency right here. And then you can click on this button that says save and then save the search. So give it a name and hit save. And then you can just tell the AI to use that saved search to find leads. So those are the AI features, which are very helpful. Now we've already covered email accounts, campaigns, and the Unibox, but here you now have your analytics. So this is your general account level analytics. You can also filter by a specific status like active, past, or completed. And down here you can see campaign analytics. You can also filter by your account analytics, which down here will show all the analytics of your entire account. Then next here you have your CRM. This is where it will show all of the leads in the stage that they are currently in. So you can click on opportunities here, and it will then ask you for the average lead value, so the default opportunity value. Let's say it's $1,000, you just enter that here and click set default value. Now here we have our stages being interested, meeting booked, meeting completed, and won. Now if you want to change this, you can go to settings here, and you can see these are checked, which means they show right here, but you can also do, let's say, not interested, and it will then also show that one. Or you can create a label and add more labels. For this, you will need the hyper growth plan again. I really recommend going with that plan. And then you can do, for example, contract send, stuff like that. You can just use this as a full-on CRM. Now, if you are using the AI autonomous reply agent, it's going to go through your CRM and also update the stages of your leads on autopilot based on the replies that have been sent by the lead. Then here you have website visitors, which is a pretty unique feature where you can add a pixel to your website and you will then be able to identify and contact the people that are visiting your website. You can get Slack notifications each time a lead is browsing your website. You can filter your website visitors to create targeted outreach campaigns. And basically you can just see who is visiting your website. So what you do is you just enter your URL right here. Then you can click get the pixel. And it's then going to give you a pixel. For you it will be different. Then place it within the head tag of your website. If you don't know how to do it, as you can see your IT guy knows, or your website builder, then you can test that the script is working. So for example, I've just built a website right here using this AI tool. What I can do is ask it to add this code to the head section of my site and paste in the code and hit send. And now after doing that, if I go back here and click test script, it now says, congratulations, you have successfully installed the visitor tag. And then click here to create your first view and start closing deals. So you can then give it a name like home. Then you can send Slack notifications if you've connected your Slack account, and you can automatically add leads that visit your website to a campaign or a list. So if I want to add them to a list, I do again need to upgrade. Then under show filters, you can also filter by revenue, seniority level and more, and then just hit save. And then you will know whenever a lead visits your website. Now here you have your inbox placement. This is basically to test whether you are landing in the inbox or in the spam folder. So you can just test this once per quarter, for example, like Q3 inbox test. They can do a one-time test, or you can set up a recurring email test. I'll just do one time. Option run from Instantly or run the test from outside Instantly. I'll do from Instantly. Then choose your email providers, the campaigns to use, the accounts to test. I'll just test all of these right here. Then you can select which sequence to use. You can view the copy, send as text only, which I am going to do, and choose the delivery mode. So I'll just do all at once and launch the test. So it's now going to test which emails land in the inbox, which ones land in spam, and based on that, you know how healthy your emails are. So while that runs, we can go to the next section here, which is automations. The automations tab recently got a pretty big update. So if you click add new, you can see what it can do. So it works on a simple trigger and action basis. So if you're going to click add a trigger, you can see they have a ton of apps you can integrate with right here, and you can also request an integration yourself. But for example, I could integrate with Go High Level, MailChimp, Pipedrive, or whatever other tool you use. But you can also use the built-in tools. But for example, what I'll do is use Instantly. So you can do the trigger event right here. Let's say when a lead's interest status changed. Then continue. So select a campaign here. You can apply it to all of your campaigns or a specific campaign. I'll just do all. Then when the interest status changes to, let's say, interested, they can test it right here, but I'll skip the test for now and then click save. Then do this action. So when the lead status changes to interested, then do this. You can do, for example, a Go High Level notification, or you can update them in your CRM, such as Pipedrive or Salesforce. You can send yourself a Slack message, or you can do something else like a condition. So if you do a condition, you can do the field to evaluate. Let's say email, and the operator, let's say, is not empty. So if we have an email, continue. If that is true, what we do is in Instantly, we add the lead to a campaign. then which campaign and what do we add. You can really make this pretty advanced. Now this sequence doesn't make any sense, but you can build any automation that you want. But now with the AI tools, you can also just ask the AI to do a ton of stuff, and the AI agents can also handle a lot of different things. But the automations work very well for integrating with external tools like Apollo, MailChimp, Pipedrive, and Go High Level. And if you are using a webhook, you can integrate with pretty much anything through a tool like N8N. So we've now covered every single tab here on the left side. Now there's one more thing you need to know. Down here you have the Instantly Accelerator. This is basically a full course where you can learn about niche and offer, setup, you can learn about copywriting, optimization, and the 80-20 on how to close more clients in sales. So this is just a free course that is included with your subscription, and I highly recommend going through this. Then if at any point you need help from Instantly, you just click on this chat button and you can then send them a message right here. And everything we've done right now is one workspace, but you can also create more workspaces by going over here in the top right and clicking create workspace. You can then create more. This is a premium feature, but then you can have, for example, one workspace for every company you use Instantly for. And if you click on your profile picture in the bottom left, right here you can also go to settings. Here you can update your subscriptions, see your usage for credits, outreach, CRM, website visitors, inbox placement. Then in account and settings, you can set your workspace and members. So you can invite people as admin, editor, or just view/VA access. And you can go to agency here to add a logo to your workspace. You can set up a domain and you can add client accounts, and they can set the permissions to, for example, view campaigns or manage the CRM, stuff like that. And here in integrations, you can find all of the integrations that Instantly has. There's quite a few of them also with AI tools. And you will also find webhooks and API keys. So you can find your API key here to, again, integrate with a tool like N8N. So that's the full Instantly setup, from your email infrastructure and warm-up all the way through to finding leads, building a campaign, and the AI agents that can run it all for you. If you haven't signed up yet, again, you can claim a 14-day free trial to Instantly with the first link in the description. If this video helped you out, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. It really does help. And if you've got any questions, drop them in the comments and I'll get back to all of them. With that being said, I will see you in the next video.